what is the source of inspiration? Where do you find that? I think Mr. Beast, the guy on YouTube, I think he's a billionaire now. He said you don't want it.
Oh, I can imagine.
Now his life is driven 100% of content, and that's all he can do. He has all the money in the world. He's doing a lot of cool things, but don't let this fame of followers mislead you to what should be truly inspirational. I'll tell you where I find my inspiration is being a good father, trying to be a more grounded husband, be a better listener, try to be a better colleague. I'm attracted to people that have those moments, and I can see them leading with that, but also being real. They can sit in the moment, realize they're still imperfect, seeking something that is greater than where they're at, but they're okay with that, and that's inspirational to me. Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 25 on Never in Reverse. I'm the host, Jeremy Axel, co-host Doug Cox. What's up, Doug?
Top of the morning to you. How we doing?
Another day. Here we are.
Yeah.
Zenning it up, man. I had to do my hour of meditation prior to getting here so that I showed up.
I would love to see you meditate. You said like cross-legged.
Man, you'd have to lock me in a dark room for a few hours.
Oh, gosh. I just lay on my back, listen to silence. Yeah.
On our last episode, we're going to listen to Doug sing.
Oh, great. We're talking about that again, aren't we? That was last week, bud. Moving on.
I can't wait till our college buddies catch it. It's going to be a roast.
It'll be fantastic. Yes.
As you can see, Doug, you guys, this is viewers. Thanks for joining us. Number one, we appreciate it. Doug is this is kind of when we started this show is a big stretch for us, and we are just, it's not really our jam, but we just knew there was something deep down we had to get this going, and it's actually gotten a lot of it's become.
Oh, yeah, I love it, and I'm the weekly punching bag. This is so awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I got a couple friends of mine that watch this that just absolutely love me roasting you.
Yeah, well, guess what? The table's about to turn, bud. So, yeah, the next 25 episodes are all beating on you.
Dude, that's not hard to do. So
I know it's really not. I got to be careful.
There's a laundry list. You can spend more than 25 episodes on that.
Yeah,
I'm all aboard on that.
Oh, geez.
Well, welcome back, guys. But thanks for joining us today. We're going to be talking about a cool, kind of an interesting topic that actually I got a few key things that really make me tick in this area, but it's around unconventional role models and how that plays into our lives and society and what it means to us, and how that basically transitions to becoming a man and a father, and I'd say getting more wisdom, and how, from when you're fundamentally a kid till now, what that's done for me, you as a viewer, Doug, anyone in their journey, and how can it influence you? It's kind of crazy to look at how that has,
what people, what avenues, different facets. Yeah.
Yeah. And Doug, for you, what makes a role model to you? What made you look up to someone back when you were a child?
Gosh, it's, I love sports as a kid, right? So of course I gravitated toward athletes, like a lot of young boys and even girls, that manner too. I mean, my daughter has, some professional soccer players she looks up to that she follows, on Instagram and TikTok, and but I think it's kind of natural in that state, at least for me, it was, I should say, at a young age, it was athletes. I gravitated toward, grew up in the Michael Jordan era. Who didn't love Michael Jordan? The guy was all-time competitor.
Yeah.
You had Bo Jackson, who was a two-sport professional athlete. Bo Jackson was a phenom. The guy was a machine, and then, as I grew older, it instilled my connection to sports and, football and baseball primarily, but coaches. I loved, you can love and hate the New England Patriots in their dominant era. Same with Alabama. But when you look at the DNA and the fabric of those teams and their dominance and what it was their leadership as coaches and how they held each individual accountable, and the structure that they put in place, not only to perform well on the field, but to raise or help raise and mold and shape, young professional athletes.
So that's more on the conventional side, but let's go down to the unconventional route. So think about unconventionals, because I have one. I actually have a couple. I had a really good friend growing up, and I watched his father in some areas lead not lead very well, but in most areas of having a very kind heart. I look back at him and what his presence to me meant at that stage. It was basically this baseline of a person that could just love on other people. And, he became kind of a safe haven for me. Just being around him was just nice. He just was a good human being. And watching him control himself as a father and as a husband was something that inspired me, because I didn't have a lot of, I would say, calmness in the environment that I was in. It was always a lot of fight or flight going on in my environment, which I still struggle with today personally, right? Because that was my perspective of how I was taught to do things. But the unconventional side was that. And then my high school coach, football coach, we had three coaches, so freshman, junior varsity, and then varsity. I think from my junior to my senior, we had sophomore coach, junior coach, senior new coach. So we had three new coaches on the varsity team. So, and I started varsity part of my sophomore year and then all the way through. But I look back and I go, man, this guy came in, he was younger, his name is Steve Rookledge. It has a special place in me. The guy came in and it was so fun because he laid such a structured foundation in our culture that was not ever there. And we embraced it. He looked up to me and a couple key buddies of mine that were on the senior leadership team, and we led that pack. And I'll tell you what, man, the guy couldn't break us regardless of how many gassers, every penalty we had, it was a gasser, which is 100 yards of flip-flops down and back. And, he couldn't break us. We had 3,600, we had 36 errors one time. We had to do 3,600 yards of floppers. So 100 yards, every 10 yards, you're down and up. And it was 36, and he still couldn't break us, because what had happened is he inspired me in a way that was so challenging to lead our senior leadership team we had all the talent in the world the years before. These guys they were self-seeking instead of team-seeking. He brought this team in, we embraced him, but he couldn't break us. And he made me feel a role as a leader, an unconventional role model. Is like, man, this guy, he wants the best in us. He's going to push for us. He believes in us. Everyone thought we were going to finish second to last in the conference, and we were second in the state, undefeated.
But you believed in him, and you didn't want to let him down.
100%. I took his challenge on. I said, hey, and I flat out told him from the first time he interacted with me, you'll never break me. You can do whatever you want, but
I'm gonna give it. Yeah,
he couldn't break me. He would. It was a running thought I remember the one time he said we got 3,600 yards. I looked at him. I said, that's it. I said, give us more, But that, I'll tell you what it did. That every guy below us couldn't break him.
No, because then they became believers. They didn't want to let him down.
They couldn't break us. Yeah. He watched this. They watched, and then they ended up going. They should have won the state title the next year, because the belief system that he put into us, seeing the raw talent. The raw talent. He was breaking us down, or thought he was, but he was building us up at the same time. But our mentality and our leadership team of embracing him as a role model is like, man, listen, we got you. Try it. Yeah. We'll follow you. Try to break us. So for me, that unconventional is just someone with that. For me, it was like, man, a couple of these moments as a young adult or young kid, I was like, man, these guys made big impact. It's still with me today. Yeah. It's, so do you have something like that before?
Yeah. I had it was my freshman year in high school before we moved again. And it just so happened, his name was Jim Sinyard. He was my dad's varsity football coach. My dad was in high school. And when I became a freshman, we were living in Redding, California at the time. And he knew our family story very well, because obviously my dad was in high school and my mom in high school, and my parents got pregnant. And he was, it just, I don't know, there was something inside of me that I gravitated toward him, because he coached my father, that he believed so much in my father. He helped my father go to Boise State, where my dad played football. And then the last thing I wanted to do was disappoint that individual as well. It was like, here I am carrying the torch. But I mean, he was that motivating guy you just didn't want to disappoint. I mean, he'd challenge you each and every week. And you stepped on that field. You wanted to give 110%, not only for your team, but to him, to prove to him that I can take these responsibilities, these things that you're giving me. I can be a leader, and that was probably, I had some other coaches and I had some other athletes that I played with, even when I was playing, what was it? Babe Ruth baseball. Ricky Ray was a guy. Pickleball. I used to slaughter the pickleball.
But if you're getting a couple courts on that back,
I haven't played in a while, but there was, I had another, and this guy went on to have a very successful career in the Canadian Football League, Ricky Ray. And him and I played baseball together. He was a year older than me. And just the way he carried himself, the way he constructed himself, the way he harnessed his emotions on the field, good, bad, or indifferent, the guy was a professional. You knew that where he went in life, at a young age, he was going to have success. Yep. And I just remember him being in that leadership position, and I was a year younger. I wanted to be like him, So, again, it was, some of the athletes that helped shape and mold me. And then I've had a lot of great coaches through the years. One of them, I still stay in very close contact. One of my high school coaches, same thing. Norbs, he comes to family functions, birthdays, still very involved. His daughter was the flower girl in our wedding. It just, and him and I just still to this day have a great, great relationship.
And Doug, just before we take a break, I think just to recap that, I think the best, looking back to when I was young from now, it's like, man, if I could, instead of idolize and put a role model in the face of a television or something that's like Batman or Michael Jordan or Barry Bonds, all these public figures that we're taught at a young age to idolize because we're seeking that level of skill or whatever.
Right.
If I went back, man, I would look back for a phenomenal human being that's a great family man that leads with patience, and a buddy of mine, actually, one guy that he just passed away not too long ago, his name is Harry Mock. And I will never forget the balance he brought to me and as a coach when I was really young, going through, a lot of craziness in my home. And he just, man, the guy was just, he loved coaching kids. Mm-hmm. And he could tell it just, he wanted to be there with you and make you learn the game and inspire you to be something greater than what you can think you are. And so but I think going back, I just give those moments. I wish you could be balanced enough at that age to understand what you have and embrace those perfect relationships or those moments that they're giving you to where you actually have a better connection. But you're young and it's hard. You're so.
But I think there's still a lot of that out there. I look at some of the coaches my kids have had and just how inspirational they've been for them, even, and they still talk about them. Yep. So I know they're going to carry some of that with them. May it be their dance coach, may it be their soccer coach, may it be their violin teacher, and just. There are some great ones out there, great influencers, great teachers, that even my kids still talk about today, that I know that they'll remember, elements that they'll take with them in their life, to inspiration.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we're going to take a quick break. We'll jump into this next topic of basically challenging tradition around this ideology of who we should perceive as a role model. So, but guys, we're going to jump into a quick break. If during the interim, if you guys want to follow us on social media, please do so. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, like, subscribe. We'd appreciate you guys following us on this journey. And also comment. We want to learn, what do you guys find on this topic?
You?
Yeah. What was a role model how'd you embrace something? What got you through tough times? But again, we're going to take a quick break and we will see you guys here back in a second. Appreciate you. Thanks. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Never Reverse. Thanks for letting us take a quick break. Doug, unconventional role models was the first segment. Now we're rolling into kind of the challenging the traditional ideas and ideology. Now that we're older, we understand kind of what we perceived as maybe a role model or someone that we idolize young on. But let's take the challenge as where we're at as fathers. What do you, what are your traditional, what would you, if you could do it right now and you talk to your daughters or your son and say, listen, who's a role model to you? Do you think, how would you challenge that if it's perceived as, let's say, I'll be honest, like LeBron James, like we idolize him and we don't even know the guy, right? Like,
No, you see him on the court, and I mean, he has a voice outside of that I don't
maybe,
typically align with.
yeah.
But, and the thing is now there's so many, elements of influence that are out there. What we had that was fed to us is microscopic compared to what's out there today. I mean, when you look at social media, it's over the top. And I tell my kids all the time, it starts with the people that you surround yourself with. And I mean, if you surround yourself with good human beings, the majority of the time, the fabric of their home is positive as well. And my oldest daughter, she has a really good friend. Her name's Cameron, great athlete, loves soccer. I mean, very polite, very well-mannered. And she comes from a great home. And I know her family. I know her dad really well because I went to high school with them. And I know that family side.
Yeah.
There's 3-generation law enforcement here in town. And they're just great people. Sure. And I tell them, you just need to make sure in your network of friends, it's who you surround yourself with that are going to be an influence to you. When you go into their families' homes and you see the way they live their lives, that's going to be an influence for you as well. And I think it starts there because I tell them all the time, what you see on social media, guys, is not always the truth. It's not always the truth. What you see in athletes is not always the truth. Mm-hmm. My son loves Tyreek Hill, but, I have some disagreements in the way that Tyreek lives his life, but I don't necessarily share all that with my son because my son sees him on the field as an athlete. He doesn't know. And I don't fully know his personal life. I can't judge wholeheartedly, but
that's the thing. Like, that's exactly why we should be as parents not allowing I think we need to have inspiration, but we shouldn't be idolizing this by the feed. So like, if you're gonna feed me Tyreek Hill's a stud football player, let's then feed me the truth of who he is as a man.
Yeah, off the field, who are they?
And I'm not saying Tyreek. I'm just saying if that's anybody. The case, if we're gonna do that stuff, then let's do it wholeheartedly.
Right.
Like he could be a phenomenal hand. Maybe he made a mistake. We're all human, right? Like, there's probably a ton of amazing things that man does, but let's not critique him too hard and let's not idolize him too much. Let's be real with it. Like, he is human. But we've put this. I think our conventional style that we tend to do is like fame, Hollywood, movies,
money,
and that's coming from video games to movies to, sporting events to exactly all these things. But, I think that the narrative in our, and I'm going to try to do my best in our home is like, listen, guys, these guys, this is their job. Mm-hmm. They are really good at that job. Now, what we don't understand fully is how are they when they're not at their job?
Exactly.
Do they lead their wives? Are they kind humans? Do they go out of their way in public and sign autographs without perspective that I'm better than that? Because, what they do in society matters. And they can be great at their job, which that's their job. That was their calling. But are they on the other side doing that great?
Right.
Being a servant heart. Are they showing up and doing the right things? And if they're not, probably not the best person to idolize.
Yep.
I mean, you're focusing on one part of it. So I think that's a hard barrier to break because
it is.
You're only showing the good and the bad.
Yeah.
They're not
because they see them, in a game time when they're on stage.
Yep.
And you don't see what goes on outside of, their
the media is going to show like, oh, they didn't sign an autograph. Maybe he was on a hurry to get to the airport with his family. And you're trying to stop him midway, and that might come across as not
wrong, right?
But imagine if you were that guy and you were in a hurry with your family and you didn't want to miss your flight, whatever the circumstances.
Dynamic.
But if he would have stopped and signed that autograph, they're not going to highlight that. They're not going. The media won't do that.
No.
That's going to be expected. But so I think we live in this content narrative that's so hard. But thankfully now is that we as citizens can do content without the media. So the truth will come out eventually.
Right. You can give the whole story.
Exactly. I think as
not one person controlling the narrative. Yeah.
And generationally and culturally, this this also steers a narrative, right? Like, but that also comes down to how you're raised. What are they showing you? What TV are you watching? What kind of music are you listening to? What kind of friends are you hanging out with? How are their parents? How are their parents' friends that are coming over for the barbecue?
Yep.
Right. So, and I think as a young kid or an adult, you're walking in to try to figure out who you are. And I remember not really having a sound foundation in yourself until, like we've talked about this, in like the 30s, man, where it's like, you're still trying to seek this inspirational thing in life because you're not really sure what you're doing, and you're not trying to, you're working or you're selling or you're in college football, and you're like, man, all these changes, and you're just trying to have this firm foundation because we all like that safety net of what that means. But I think it's like, man, it's all the generations are changing and the content's changing, and they're going from YouTube.
Well, and the outlets for content and here's a prime example. My wife and I just watched this Netflix series. I can't recall the gal's name.
What was the name of it?
Ruby something, I want to say was her name. She had a huge following on YouTube in videoing of her family, and gave this persona that she was just this phenomenal wife, phenomenal mother. And
is this in the real life or just part of the Netflix?
In real life? Like, she was recording, and showcasing this fabulous life that she was living. Well, then her viewership just blew up overnight, millions of viewers. Well, then she had one piece of content that got out, how she grounded her son and forced him to sleep on a beanbag and not in his room for like few months.
Okay.
And she got some backlash for that. Well, then the wheels started coming off the cart, because now she was exposing what was going on when the camera was turned off, of who she was as a person, and not a good one at all. It's a phenomenal series. And then what she did, to her two youngest children, the way she tortured them and starved them and everything.
She seriously did that?
Oh, yes. Yeah. She's serving a 30-year prison sentence. And
I thought you were saying, well, if he's on the beanbag because he's not listening.
That was the oldest son. That was when she forced him into this punishment, and she put this out there on YouTube and in social media. She got a bunch of backlash from her viewers and her audience. Well, then the viewers in the audience started questioning who she really was as a mother, as a wife.
Yep.
Well, then it just kind of unraveled, and just her following dissipated. People unsubscribed, didn't follow her. But long story short, but here she was portraying this life she's living. And when the camera's off, she's evil, just an evil person.
And so basically what she was doing is steering the narrative to her own financial gain, actually not living an authentic life. I mean, like, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a perfect husband. I'm not a perfect dad. I'm still learning this whole thing. I tell my kids at 5 years old, like, hey, I'm in this part learning with you. I'm learning to be a dad.
Right.
You're learning to be a son in this world.
I'm maturing with you as a father, as you're maturing as well too.
If I think the most I can give them is let them know that I'm still learning like they are. Right. And I might not lead you perfectly all the time, but man, I'm going to learn. If you lead me a certain way, and it's the better way for our family,
we'll grow together.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's once you get to that, but I think the society pressure, man, and what you have to follow and seek as a role model is, and especially as a young age, as your friends are idolizing Michael Jordan or LeBron James, and then you're steering the narrative there. And the truth is that might not align with the true values, but you want to fit in. And it's crazy how much downward pressure is happening all over the place for these kids. And I would say us, man, Lamborghinis, and you got these kids saying that they're faking it, and they're telling you all these stories, and then the amount of data coming at me every single day from people reaching out and saying they're the next greatest thing. And I said, someone made you a cute YouTube banner or whatever they did. Let's be authentic and show me that, like, let's talk to a couple of people. But I think, like, the society and where we're heading, and us as parents for our children, is we just got to have an open dialogue with where we're going, and try to make sure that the pressures of society and feeling welcome isn't misconstrued, like where they believe it 100%. Like, I think that we have to have
an instant
some control
success,
policies.
It's like all these kids look for these social media athletes and this instant success and fame and money, and that's not real life. So like my kids every year, out where our cabin and ranch is, a lot of local ranchers, in the spring, they do everybody comes together and brands. Well, I bring the kids out there to help brand and vaccinate, the calves.
Yeah.
So they get to see, they see these ranches and these nice homes and people that have done well, but it's come with years of hard work and grit, and they still continue to put the time in. And I try to get them in and around those working cultures and those environments to give them experience that, look, no matter, how much money one person may have or success that they have, these folks are still down on the dirt, working the calves, branding them, coming together as a community and working together. I mean, it's just, I guess what I'm going back to is we got to give them these experiences, meaningful experiences that will have influence and impact on them long-term, because what they're seeing on social media and athletes is it's not the real world. I mean, less than 1% find that fame.
And it is that, and to be honest, like I was thinking about this. So Mr. Beast, the guy on YouTube I think he's a billionaire now. He said you don't want it.
Oh, I can imagine.
Now his life is driven 100% of content, and that's all he can do. And he has all the money in the world. He's doing a lot of cool things, but I think I don't know if he said you don't want this, but it was something along those lines. Is something I read that, like, don't let this fame of followers mislead you to what should be truly inspirational, right? Like,
right.
So we'll move into the inspiration, Doug, and the influence of that topic is like, what is the source of inspiration? Where do you find that? And man, I look back now and I'll tell you where I find my inspiration is being a good father, trying to be a more grounded husband, be a better listener, try to be a better colleague. Like I'm attracted to people that have those moments, and I can see them leading with that, but also being real, not living in moments where unauthentic, where they tell you one thing and do something behind closed doors.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever. I just being okay with their own position and enough in that so that they can inspire me to get to the next side. So I think that, inspiration for me at this stage is someone that's mastered their craft and they're authentic in the moment where they're at, no matter if it's good or bad, or it might not. And maybe if they're 50% of the journey they want, but they're still authentic there and they're cool with it. They can sit in the moment, realize they're still imperfect, seeking something that is greater than where they're at, but they're okay with that. And that's inspirational to me, is like watching someone be okay with that. I don't get inspired by the guy that is misleading himself
or advertising
a benefit of something that that's not authentic. And I know it's not true. And what I like when a sales guy calls on us or something like that, and someone's like, hey man, I'm new at this. Let me get the right people in the seat.
Yeah, you open up, and you want to, and he's admitting, and you feel like you owe the guy a chance. I mean, he's being truthful. He's being honest.
I had a guy that called recently, and I said, listen, hey, let me help you out. I said, just be authentic. Say you don't know this.
Yeah.
That's more inspirational to me, because you're being vulnerable. You're okay with your flaws, and you're willing to go learn.
You're willing to learn, and you're being open and honest about it.
But you can't learn when your ego is telling you, like, just say, hey, I don't know anything about this. But I tell you what, I got guys around me that do. Mm-hmm. I'm still learning, and this is a big curve to learn. That's inspirational to me. That's a lot more inspirational than some guy trying to fake it. And I know everything he says, I know more than him and know everything that he's saying, and he's missing all the gaps. Yeah. I'm like, dude, this isn't the guy. But the guy that's saying, hey, I'm not a full-blown surgeon yet, but I'm in residency.
Yeah. I'm learning. Yep.
I'm in residency. That's it. That guy doesn't come in and say he's a doctor.
No.
So learning. Guess what I'm going to be? I'm going to be patient. I'm going to have an understanding. He might ask questions in front of me. But the moment he says he's got this dialed in and he's not a doctor, and he's not willing to admit he's in residency.
Yeah.
And I can sense that he's asking weird questions. That puts this weird deviation.
This false narrative. Yeah.
Now I'm going to go, I'm not stop hacking.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just think about that. Like, if that guy's authentic and real, man, it's so much, it's the progression of that conversation so much easier. And that's everywhere, right? Like with AI and all these things coming on. But I think the inspiration, things that have inspired me as I get older, are the people that are foundationally striving to do more. They're working on themselves. they're trying to better their family, their friends, their
But
livelihood.
where are you finding that? I mean, I know you've got.
I got my group, my men's group.
Yeah,
That's a big one for me right now.
I just want to bring that out there, but
we got 20 guys in there right now, and I'll tell you what, man, they're all walks of life from 23 to 70, and they're imperfect and broken, but they're willing to show up at 6 a.m. on Wednesdays and put it out on the line and try to grow and understand what they don't understand.
But there's some elements of success within that group.
Oh yeah,
though. Yeah,
100%. I mean, I think that they inspire me, right? Like that's a big inspiration for me, is watching some of those guys push towards another.
Well, it's nice that there's a broad range too, because there's, as we're going through our generational age and transformation, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you can see somebody that's 60 years old and what they've done and what they've done with their family and where they are in their lives, that you can, again, take some of those tools and put it into your tool chest,
But what's influenced your journey, Doug? Who's an inspiration to you on your journey? What's
oh gosh, inspiration in my journey. I mean, a lot of it I owe to my parents,
Yeah.
and even, even though there's a bit of a disconnect with my mom, but I mean, she's done a lot of great things in her life and in her professional career and growth, with the adversity and the challenges that she's faced. But also my dad and my stepmom, I mean, their sleeves were always rolled up, and I think they've instilled a lot in me of who I want to be as a parent and how I want to be remembered.
Mm-hmm.
My father in this family is like, he's on this pedestal, and I want that when my time comes. I want my kids to look at me on a pedestal. I want my grandkids to think the same, that my dad always, and my stepmom, they put this family first before themselves, 100%. My dad would buy a go-kart, and, hey, get the kids over here. I got a go-kart. Get them ripping around the neighborhood, or things like that, and not just the fun things, but in inspiration as well, too. But and then I'm fortunate enough, I've got a pretty good network of friends that live very truthful and inspiring lives. They have successful professional careers. I'm fortunate that I have a good network of wholehearted, genuine people. I mean, I can make phone calls right now and they'd be here in a moment. I'm fortunate in that. I've got a great surrounding and network of friends and family that, are really inspiring.
That's awesome, man.
Not only from a professional side, but a personal side as well.
Yeah, and I think for viewers, it's like, listen, there's so many role models and things that have played crucial roles in different phases of life. And I think we always need to find the inspiration in that. The challenge is you're going to find is like, depending on what stage of life you're in, and if you're a father, a mother, or a college student, or whatever, wherever you're at, you're going to just find. I think looking back is just seek the people and the inspiration and the role models that are going to actually advance to where you dream of getting. And I wish I would have had a mentor early on in my life. And just honestly, I look back in my 20s, I'm like, man, if I could have had that staple person mentoring me on the sideline, that would have been the best investment in myself. And it wouldn't have taken me till my late 30s, early 40s to start getting that momentum of like, hey, I need to create a solid foundation here. Hey, I need to work on some flaws that I've brought along into my life. So I wish I would have done that early on and had that level of inspiration for myself to get through those moments. But I think one thing is let that inspiration and the role models play their role in the phases that you have. Don't let them limit you. So don't drag a role model on from Michael Jordan throughout life, because I see people do that, and I see these guys get so crazy passionate about these athletes when they're father. And I think, man, like I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't drag them on from your childhood all the way through when man, the phase of life that you might be in, it's okay to have like, or
hold on to friendships that aren't inspirational. I mean,
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, there was a great high school friend of mine that, spent a lot of time together, and there were some choices that were made that I knew were not going to be a positive influence or reflection on me if I surrounded myself with that person.
Exactly.
You know who I'm talking about. I don't need
Yeah,
to bring it
but
up,
guess what? That phase. But guess early on, it was okay because we were young and dumb and doing all these-
and making mistakes and learning and as we go. But eventually it's like, okay, as I'm maturing here, is this person really going to make me better? Or if I'm seen in the community with this individual, what kind of reflection is that going to be on me?
Or is me seeking?
Am I holding on to this for the wrong reason?
But yeah, but like, and the guys that are super like, I'm a Raiders fan, and then they get in gang fights or whatever. I'll be like, what are we doing? Like, guys, like, let's we don't need that symbol to be present. It's a mask, right? Like, let's figure out ways to grow in these stages. If you're a father, let's go find the best fathers that we know. If you're married, let's go find the best marriage we know and idolize that. Like, move these. Like, let's be. So we're in the moment together, doing this thing together, but we're also not seeking outside sources to not focus on the stage of life that we're in. So I think that's kind of, for me, as we wind this episode down, take those moments, okay? And you're going to have friends, guys, and people that drag those symbols along or those role models along, and you outgrow that. And
they challenge me.
And guess what? But you might outgrow the person.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot.
Yep.
It happens.
Yep.
Like you just said. So be okay with not with those moments and understanding yourself, and you might be separating yourself from situations that no longer serve you, and that's okay. So we'd love to hear your comments, though, guys. And also, we are launching a website. We have launched a website, and please take a look at it. It's neverinreverse.com. You can also follow us on Spotify, Amazon.
Listen to us. You can go there and listen to us.
Yeah.
That way you don't have to look at Jeremy. You can just
Suave, remember?
Oh gosh, here we go again. They can just listen to us. They don't have to look at us. That's probably a good thing. Spotify, Apple.
Just keep your hat
Amazon.
on, Doug.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Doug, after that last episode with your music, I don't know, man. We'll have to see. Are we going to see this? That tank that you said the followers are going to tank.
Well, they'll still follow me, maybe, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But no, thank you guys for joining us on this episode of Never in Reverse. Again, like, subscribe, please follow us, listen to us, and have a wonderful weekend. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
Take care.